Hey everyone, and welcome to a Hungover podcast, this time with both of your boys. That's Julien, and I'm Yvonne, and I'm finally back, and very happy to be talking to my best friend, Julien. Again, this is the only time that we ever talk to each other.
Once a week.
We plan it so that our friendship stays crisp and alive, and that the only conversations that we have are here on the podcast for you to keep it, clever and interesting. This is where we keep our entire friendship, is in this 1 hour for you guys.
This is it, and we keep it to 1 hour. That's it. And as soon as it's done recording, we instantly shut down the Discord app, and we're done.
I leave.
That's it.
The only time that Julien
shut up for
computers me ever again is like, hey, please remember to upload the audio. That's it.
That's all I want from you. That's it.
That's how you know this is a genuine podcast.
This is great. I can't believe you. Look, I was struggling to find topics for this week, so thank you for coming back, Yvonne. I really need
Julien,
you here.
You have been doing so well on these solo pods. I have listened to them as opposed to when I hear my dumb voice, and I really enjoyed them. You're really good as the solo pod host. Maybe a little incriminating, but pretty good.
Maybe I'll make a solo pod on the side if that's what you all want. Apparently one of our... I uploaded a clip of one of those podcasts, and I titled it Nintendo Switch Pro Confirmed ? And it got way more views than it had any right getting views of, and there was like these people commenting on it. It's like, did you even watch this video? I was questioning whether or not they watched the video. They were just trying to chime in on the topic of the title of the video, and I'm like, all right, guess I'll engage.
Watch the
video. You know all of my opinions if you watch the video, but I guess I'll type them out for you again. That's fine too. No, I had an engaging conversation in the comment section. Thank you so much for commenting. I forget your names right now because I'm such a big YouTuber now. I forget all the people who comment on our videos. But today
I remember one. I remember one.
Oh yeah, that one
Laura
guy.
finally watched some of our content.
Did she? What? Which one?
It took me moving across the country for Laura to actually watch and or listen to anything that we do.
Because she missed you. She missed
it
you
is.
So
she
much.
wanted to hear my voice. She listened to the me undies and the bath time stories.
Oh, those are good ones. I like those clips. If no one did, she even watch the one of your cat jumping up, the 40-second clip?
I showed it to her.
40
it was
second
amazing.
Clip.
It's so good. That cat fucked everything up.
You can't make these things up. Go ahead and watch our clips. Oh god, Yvonne is in pain.
On this corner. I have been moving across the country for basically a week and a half.
Yeah,
because
tell me about it, Yvonne.
I still haven't moved into my final destination. So
I
got
not in your final destination?
A job offer. No, this is absolutely not my final destination. I'll get to it.
Okay.
I got a job offer from a former boss to come down and work in New Orleans on a Disney Channel TV show.
That's so exciting.
So I was like, yes, let's do this.
Can you tell me if it's animated or not?
It is not. It is a live action show.
Okay,
it is cool. Actually on Deadline or Variety that they started releasing information on it. So you can look it up, Ultraviolet.
That's the name of the show?
Yeah, Ultraviolet.
Oh, cool.
Disney Channel. You'll be able to find information about it. It's about a girl who a luchador mask chooses her kind of thing.
Is this going to be on Disney Plus?
No, it's a Disney Channel show.
What the hell? Why is Disney Plus not Disney Channel?
I actually personally don't know what the interaction there is. So okay. I don't know if, for instance, if it's on Disney Channel, if it automatically transitions to Disney Plus. I just don't know.
Okay. Just asking questions.
I do have Disney Plus. Disney, if you're listening, I'm fully The big Disney bosses, I know they care about our podcast. They're like, they're one of the 6 people that consistently listens because I've worked for Hulu in the past too.
That's awesome. That would be the funniest thing. if the only...
I find a letter of termination on my desk on Monday because they're like, we heard you on the podcast.
Oh, the Hungover podcast. Yes. No, not that Hungover podcast. This one.
Not the Irish one.
Not the Irish one.
So I moved down to New Orleans. Basically, I found out a week and a half-ish before I had to like be on the job.
Okay.
So
I mean, a solid time frame.
But I still had to work the other job, the other movie that I was
that
on
sucks.
Every day, 10 hours a day.
Fuck that.
Other than the weekends, which is why I had to step away from the podcast for a couple weeks. And Julian very graciously allowed me to, with no questions asked.
Oh my God, I don't care.
He had no idea what the fuck was happening. He was just like, I was like, Julian, I'm really sorry, but I need a break from the podcast for 2 weeks. And he's like, okay. That's basically Julian in a nutshell. He's just like,
all right, homie.
Inside, he's like seething. He's like, why would you tell me this the night before we're supposed to record? You've had 3 days since you found out that you could have done this. Why are you telling me now? But all he sends to you is, okay.
All right, homie. I'll do a podcast on myself. I'll figure it out.
This motherfucker. Julian very graciously gave me time and space that I absolutely needed to move. So this is my first full week that I had in New Orleans, and I've still not moved into my apartment. Before I came down here, I basically got hooked up with an apartment manager, and I was like, sweet. I'm going to move into a whole house by myself. The first time I've just had... Because basically every house that's around here is a single floor.
Nice.
Unless it's like a duplex kind of thing. But most houses are a single floor. So I'm going to be moving into just an entire house by myself. Because Laura didn't go join me. And it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It's got a jacuzzi tub. I'm like super stoked for it.
Oh my God.
I got a low porch.
Upgrade.
I got a backyard.
Holy shit.
Amazing.
This guy's living the dream.
I'm
Jacuzzi?
just like, I told Laura after I got off the phone with the person, I was like, yes, I'll do this. And I got off the phone and I was like, Laura, listen to what's happening. She's like, I'm moving with you, except for I can't yet. She has her own stuff that she needs to finish up in.
But it's
Syracuse
currently
New York area.
The TLDR long distance for a couple more, maybe month or two.
Yeah,
3,
probably
4.
End of April or like
not
May.
even. Okay,
Yeah.
and then that's nothing.
And then she'll bring the cats down.
Oh,
then
shit.
she'll hopefully go and do like Shakespeare festival workshops across the country for the next few months.
That's exciting.
Which I'm totally cool with. Like, she needs to get
pursue
that bread
her thing.
and pursue her thing. Yeah, exactly.
But also from New Orleans. That's really great. That's so exciting. I was worried for a second, but I was like, Yvonne would probably tell me maybe if that was gonna be a thing. But that's really great news. So you guys are. There was really no doubt in my mind because you guys have done long distance for a long time prior to this.
Turns
there
out
was
I'm
no
just
doubt in my
a
mind.
long distance relationship guy.
That's your
because
thing.
It's just like it just happens that's because I enjoy moving across the country.
Yeah, that's also your
thing. The people that I date are not like, I'm just gonna pick up my life and move with you. They're like, I have my own things, and I'm like, well, that's fine. I don't care.
Well, you should do. Obviously, this is a great opportunity for you, and you should do what you think is right for you. So this is really good. This is awesome. It's such good news.
Big city, lots of projects happening.
And I'm really happy that you're moving. No offense to Syracuse or you living in Syracuse, but I'm really happy you're getting the fuck out of there. Let's go.
I like Syracuse.
No offense.
for the filmmaking community there is like it's really tight knit because we keep making projects together, so it's fun in that way because you get to know everybody and it feels like a family making these movies. And I'm moving here and I know basically no one, but I moved in and like the production coordinator is also like his family's from Buffalo, so like
that's awesome.
He's got Bill's gear that his area is set up with. I'm wearing Bill's sweaters to work because despite the fact that it's 80 degrees outside, inside of the offices it's like a tundra. So basically
we just couldn't figure out how to how to get temperature right here, you know?
No, the art director, she's sitting in her office and the air duct is just, the panel is gone. It's for whatever reason. And it's just a tundra. She's like sitting in her winter, like in a winter coat. Which she's from California, so I don't even know where she got this.
That's awesome.
But it's like a fur-lined parka that she's forced to sit in and work at her desk because it's so cold in that room. But yeah, so I'm wearing I was like, I'm gonna be the Buffalo guy. The only sweaters that I'm really gonna take, because I don't need sweaters because I'm moving to the south and it's already 80 degrees. Immediately when I moved down here, it was like, we're gonna make everything 50 degrees. Don't worry about it. So
just what you're used to.
Everything fucked up, but I was like, I'm gonna be the Buffalo guy, and immediately they're like, there's the production coordinators from Buffalo, the construction guy, he's from the Rochester area. It's just like, we're just down here. But I getting back to where my living situation. So I was moving here, and they were like, so here's the deal with your place. There was a freeze like a month ago, where big freeze in Texas, etc., and a lot of places got damaged. Totally understandable. Need some time to fix it. I totally understand. It was short notice of me to ask for the place, but they were gonna get it done. I was gonna be able to move in last Wednesday to the place, and then she calls me and she's like, so. The contractor who was going to do the work, his brother died. So he was not able to do the contract work. So he'll be coming in and doing it over this weekend. Just, a week later. Totally enough time to grieve. And I was like,
it's fine.
Okay, I guess. Sure. So I had to book an Airbnb for that night because it was the night that I was supposed to be moving out of my Airbnb and moving into my lease, and then that didn't happen. So I had to book another Airbnb. So I moved out. The first one I got purposely that was close to the French Quarter. Basically, I walked to the French Quarter because Laura was with me. She drove down with me the 20 plus hours. So I was very happy to have somebody to do that with.
Nice.
So Laura drove down with me, and I was like, I'll get a place near the French Quarter so she can kind of explore that. That's like the touristy place.
Duh.
So she totally did that, and that was great. And then when Laura was leaving, I was transitioning to a different Airbnb, and I was like, I want a really residential neighborhood. So I went up to Gentilly, which is kind of like northeast-ish of the French Quarter. It's a really nice residential neighborhood. If I move here permanently, this is kind of like the area that I'd like to live in. But I'll explore more of the city to finally nail that down. But I was glad that we got out of the French Quarter because apparently somebody got shot last night on Canal and Bourbon. So, it's crazy time we live in. So this is like my second to last night here, and then I'm moving to my place in Uptown near Tulane. I've been kind of getting a feel for the city. I went running this because we had a 3-day weekend because of Good Friday, so I've been going running. And I went running, and I just went for 3 miles, like 30-minute run, and everything was chafing. I was like, ugh. And
all that sweat.
The box that I had my Body Glide, the anti-chafing stuff, I couldn't fit into my car on the move down. So I was like, Laura, can you send this box to me? She's like, totally. I'll send it on Friday. And then Friday's coming around. I'm like, Friday's Good Friday. There's no way the post office is working on Friday. It's like, she got back on Wednesday. Thursday was open. I was like, why couldn't you just send it on Thursday? She didn't send it on Thursday. She was like, I'm going to send it on Friday. I was like, okay, fine. Send it on Friday. She clearly couldn't send it on Friday because it was Good Friday. She's like, I'll send it tomorrow. And then I was like, okay.
Ascension Saturday? No way.
She was totally like, I totally sent it on Saturday. And then today we were talking. Today's Sunday. We're recording this behind the candelabra. This
Easter.
Is where it is. And I was like, yeah, and I don't have a scale or my kitchen scale here, so it's going to be tough for me to manage my calories. And she's like, well, I'm not unpacking that box again to send anything to you. I was like, what do you mean unpacking it again? So she hadn't sent it. So half of my stuff is still getting sent on Monday. So I went to the running store here to go buy Body Glide, and I went inside and got the anti-chafing stuff, and then I walked out and I was like, oh man, I should probably ask these people, the runners, because the guys who work there are clearly runners, like what routes they take. So I walk in, the guy was like, okay, let me show you on my Strava, which is like a running app.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, like, if you are a person who doesn't do on, like, I know you can do it on iPhones, doesn't do the notification of just a message has been sent on X or Y platform, you should definitely turn that on, particularly when you're just showing a random person things on your phone. Because while he was showing me the running routes...
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
This guy got a Snapchat
my God.
message from
awesome.
A guy named J Daddy.
J Daddy.
And the Snapchat message clearly had like the emoji of a camera and then the wet emoji.
Oh my God.
And I was like, this is weird. And he like quickly dismissed it, but it was like long enough for both of us to have read it, but he just like, we didn't address it at all. And it was just like, if you're in that situation, Julian, what is your reaction as both the person who owns the phone and as the person who is looking at the phone?
As the person who owns the phone, I assume you gotta play it off. You gotta be like,
just like, yeah,
don't
that's
worry
totally
about that.
Normal.
You can either just completely not address, just swipe it up, don't address it at all, or you can say, "Whoop, that's awkward," and swipe it up, and then keep going on in the thing. Or as the person who you're seeing it, you're like, whoo, you can, I don't know what you say. I've never been in that situation. You just be silent, not even read the message. That's probably respectful. I would probably do that.
Okay.
Me,
human eyes are trained to look at movement.
Asian person. Okay. I would just be
right?
like, oh, I'm in this situation. Just be silent and hope no one notices me. That's it.
Just go back to your ninja roots.
That's it. No one. I'm not here.
Different country for sure.
Don't worry.
But going back to your Asian.
I'm just here for information. Nothing else. That's all I want.
I ignored it. He ignored it. Like we just started talking about the routes that we were talking about, or we kept talking about it. But he was in the middle of explaining it, and then did the flip up, and then continued speaking. And I was just like, for the first 10 seconds that he was talking about whatever routes and streets to run down, I was not processing. What I was doing was completely attempting to process like, don't go red, don't go red, don't go red, which the masks totally help with for me, because when I get in that embarrassing situation, I'm immediately like, I feel
this is awkward,
so awkward, and like I find it hard to watch programs like The Office because I can't watch cringy stuff like that anymore. I enjoy being the person who causes cringe. I can't watch other people's cringe. And this is one of those instances where I'm directly involved in the cringe.
We should do a video
in control of it.
We should do a video where both of us watch a cringe compilation or something. Oh, and just film our reactions.
I just I can't, and I have to walk away.
Okay, we'll try to do that. That sounds like fun. Just put Yvonne through extreme pain and film it for like 40 minutes. It'd be great.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, sounds like great.
I would
great
totally do that. So that's been my life so far. It's just like moving from Airbnb to Airbnb
and buying chafe lube
and buying chafe lube. Yeah,
sick. That's unbelievable, man.
Yeah. In addition, there was something else. Oh, I got disinvited from from a wedding.
Disinvited from a wedding? Uh-oh.
Yeah, our mutual friend's wedding.
Ah, yes. Very good.
I got disinvited from that.
Disinvited. Sick.
Yeah.
Sick.
I didn't ever received a RSVP, so it's not like I was technically fully invited in the process.
Right.
But I did get a personalized text, which is, if you're going to disinvite somebody, then the personal touch is absolutely necessary.
It was decided, I see. Because I mean, obviously you got the text, but I assume it was because he wanted to keep it small.
Yeah. Did you get disinvited?
No. I'm sorry. I didn't. I was invited. Fully invited.
I know you were.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Son of a bitch.
I was told about this situation, and I don't want to. Look, not my wedding. I'm not part of the decision. I obviously told him, dude, what the fuck? Maybe you should invite him. Kind of a big thing, us three, but I guess not. Cool, man. Your decision. All right. Big moves. Anyways, that's a podcast for like next week, where we just talk about getting married. I guess that's a marriage podcast. But
I was really sad.
I was sad too, man.
I have he's the one friend that I know is going to get married, and then I really don't know if anybody else that I'm friends with is ever going to get married.
Yeah,
so I was I haven't been invited to a wedding. I've been invited to one wedding, which I absolutely couldn't attend because I was living in New York and incredibly poor and couldn't make it down to Alabama. And this was the one that I was like, I've known these people since they started dating, since before they started dating. I'm totally gonna get invited to this wedding.
Might as well be the best man. Let's go.
I don't want to be in the groom's party or anything. I don't think it's that kind of closeness, but man, that sucked. It did hurt, but I understand. But it also hurt. But no, I understand.
It's not cool. I don't necessarily agree with the decision. Let's put it that way. But that's neither here nor there. We are of the age of our friends getting married. But I have
no friends that are getting married. Like, I don't have, because of my lifestyle, I just don't have a lot of friends that, like, because I've been transient or moved back to the college town where nobody is. So I haven't really been in contact with anybody. So anybody that I knew from college that is getting married, they just fuck off and don't talk to me. So this is my one hope. This is my one chance. I think weddings are magical. I'm really big proponent of them.
It's just like a really beautiful celebration of two people that love each other. That's what it is.
And I was super stoked.
And obviously it's a beautiful relationship they have.
Beautiful.
But we wish.
And then I told him that I moved to New Orleans, and he's like, "I might need to come visit. I might need to come visit you." I was like, "You're disinvited."
Maybe not. Maybe not. I will be.
The best
in
man.
New Orleans. And just so you know, I'm the best man of that wedding. No, I will be actually in New Orleans for for a bachelor party. In
How do you know all these people? You've known all the same
in
people
July.
for your whole life.
No, I only know one other person is getting married this year. No, only one other person is getting married. And I'm gonna be I'm part of the groom's party, and we're gonna be throwing him a bachelor party in New Orleans at the end of July. So maybe I'll be able to visit you then.
Yeah, I'm gonna be here through probably December.
Yeah. Oh, you're only there temporarily. I thought it was more of a permanent situation. Well, currently.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes.
All right. I wish you the best in your endeavors there. It's good. That's a really exciting story. I can't believe you're down there. It's such a cool city. New Orleans is so fun. I don't know if you've ever
been able to experience a lot of it because I'm very nervous of being in public still, and like it's anxiety driving for me. So like Laura is less scared of being in restaurant indoors with like not serious ventilation. She's less scared of that than the vaccine, and I'm so far the opposite direction. Like I'm not scared of the vaccine, but I am scared to be in an indoors enclosed, poorly ventilated restaurant or building. So
well, I guess you have to be a little more cautious in the South.
Because not great mask wearing.
People, especially nowadays, because it's spring break. And
all the governors were like, no need to have that mandate.
Yeah, no, I understand. I know what you're saying. I guess maybe this is not the best time to be in New Orleans, but I hope you get to experience some of the cool things that are down there, especially the food. The food is something special down there. I
have
truly
had
love
some
the food.
good food here already because
yeah.
we did because it's so warm here that you can go to restaurants that are outdoors or
get
like
the po' boys. Come on get yourself a po' boy and you can have a good time. That's really great. I
get my first vaccine shot on Tuesday, so
congrats. I already got my second. As you know, it was
from the solo pods.
Not fun. I wish you the best.
Thank you.
With your second shot in a month or so. Also, I mean, I just talked to my dad today. He said he got his second shot and he had no problems. So, who fucking knows? You know, it could be anything for you. It could be the worst possible situation, or it could be literally just another day. So,
or find out that I'm highly allergic to whatever the lipid is.
Exactly.
And I just fucking die. And then you're like, Yvonne, are we doing this podcast or not?
Or not, like, bro.
Just fucking dead.
No response. Like, wow, cool, bro. Just wasted my whole night. Fuck you, dick. And then just do my own podcast. Yep, that's what I would do for like a week until I start getting some concerns if I had no response. Like, guess I'm putting out another podcast, guys. What's up? Welcome to the Hungover podcast. No, that not that Hungover podcast. This one. All right.
Really
fuck
gonna
those
have
guys.
To set up some safeguards for like if I do die unexpectedly.
Yes.
Like Laura knows the number to text you.
She just texts me a series of numbers and then execute. Order
or there's
76.
an email that I have to snooze every day. And you know that if that email goes through, I've died.
Well, Vaughn, I guess that's a really exciting update from you. I'm really glad that you're moving on. Well, not moving on, but you have a really great opportunity ahead of you, and I hope it leads to really great opportunities in the future. It's really exciting stuff. Hopefully, we can hear some more about your travels in New Orleans in the future, perhaps next week.
There's a podcast booth in my office.
Oh
shit! I might be able to. Well, I might ask them if like, hey, can I record on this podcast?
That would be crazy. It's just one of our audio is just professional, and then my audio is just shit. Comparatively, at least. I hope you guys enjoy our audio. I feel like it's certainly better than some audio that I've heard, especially coming out of this past year and this current year of podcasting, where everyone had to record from home.
Everybody has a podcast for whatever reason, and then three-quarters of the people are like, AirPods are fun.
Yeah, AirPods are fine. I've been recording on this professional microphone at my job for the past, and I didn't consider buying a $100 mic or whatever it is. You can buy a $20 microphone and make it sound good if you do a little tweaking. So a USB, all you need is a USB microphone. So it's what we're using currently. So it's just like I cannot believe some of them. And I will point out IGN specifically. I listened to the Nintendo voice chat, a podcast I really like, by the way. Their past year podcasts have been kind of shit. Not gonna lie, in terms of audio quality alone. I will call them out for this.
Julian, I'm gonna take you on a little cruise here because I'm gonna go to the fridge and pull something out for myself.
All right. Well, my point was their audio. I mean, when you have a voice chat online, it is what it is, right? You get that little hiccup. Especially if you're on Wi-Fi. You get that hiccup, and then there's like the distortion. It's hard to animate it with my voice, but they don't fucking record their audio separately, as we do on Audacity for a totally free program. That you can download on any computer, including Macs, and it's just like super easy to do anything related to audio with this program. It doesn't have that hiccup.
We have also been in a podcast recording age for a couple years now.
Yeah,
where literally idiots like me can figure out how to record a podcast.
So all I'm saying is IGN has full-time editors of their podcast. You guys couldn't get that. You have what? They have usually 4 people on this podcast. I don't know.
Well,
maybe
you know what?
3 or 4. Just send the audio files.
Whitelisted them. If you had whitelisted IGN so they could get ad revenue, they would be able to afford those microphones. But because you haven't whitelisted them,
it's true.
They don't get ad revenue.
It's not even the microphones. It's just like, come on, record your audio on the hard drive and then send it to the editor.
How can they do this all at once?
Oh, God.
4 people clapping? Impossible.
Unbelievable.
It's never happened in the history. Like,
the epitome.
You've heard people who have to rhythmically clap in America. They're just like at the first 4 claps on time while the guy is like, here's what we're doing. And then as soon as the guy on stage stops, they got assholes who are going on the off beats or like accelerating it. It's terrible. Like, how would you get 4 people to clap at a single time with 1 countdown to sync up the audio? Impossible.
Unbelievable is all I have to say. But Yvonne,
Julian, wait.
Oh, sorry.
We're the Hungover podcast. It's important for me to talk about one thing that is very important to the Hungover podcast.
Yes.
In Louisiana, unlike in New York, you can buy hard liquor at a grocery store.
Oh my God. Amazing.
It's like I can buy beer, wine, and I bought Trader Joe's branded limoncello. Because I love limoncello.
Yeah.
I bought Trader Joe's limoncello and a bottle of bourbon.
Trader Ciata or what? Or Jose? What are they called?
I forget what it is. It's
Trader Ciabatta.
Hold on. I'll pull it out. Hold on.
It's so dumb. It's pretty dumb. The names they come up, but also it's Trader Joe's. It's fine. Here it is.
It's Trader Giotto's limoncello.
Trader Giotto's. There it is.
I don't know if you can see that or if it's blurry.
Sicilian limoncello. Beautiful.
It's actually a very nice limoncello. I would say it's 26 ABV. If they bumped it up to like 29, it would be perfect. because it's still a little.
You can tell the difference between 3%, 26 and 29.
Because it's slightly sweeter. I think with a little bit more alcohol, it will combat the sweetness. It's just slightly too sweet. I think bumping up 29, 30 would
probably would. You're probably
reach that balance. But otherwise, really cool. It's incredible. Like, it's like a totally functioning society which doesn't have puritanical rules about alcohol. It's brilliant.
New York State, really a fantastic state. You should talk to our governor about anything. Ooh, let's not talk about that guy. Cuomo.
He should resign.
This. But Vaughn, we were just talking about IGN, and I know we usually talk about both of our things, but you don't need to hear. I've been playing video games. Whatever. What a surprise.
I also watched Brookworm for the first time in forever.
Oh my god,
I popped into her chat and talked to her.
Off.
She had 130 something views.
Dude, I was watching a couple days ago, I don't know, a week or two ago. Brookworm, thank you so much for ever watching our show. We appreciate your viewership. You're awesome. Go follow Brookworm on Twitch.
She's awesome.
She is super
Total
cool.
OG
Hearthstone
Hungover
streamer.
Gaming partnership.
Yeah, she's super cool. We were definitely there. Some of her first viewers, I will admit, but I'm not trying to brag or anything.
She called me one of the OGs because we were there when she was doing like 16 viewership.
We really were. No joke about that. But now she gets like 100 viewers consistently. I'm pretty sure she's a Twitch partner now. But I saw one time she had like 500 viewers. She had more. I watched like professional Twitch streamers and professional video game players. She had more viewers than some of the people that I watch. And I was like, what? This is awesome. Go Brooke. Good for her.
She's
and
great.
Then yeah, she's I lurk in her chat sometimes. Like, there's no reason for me to there's no reason why she would want to talk to me anymore. But go follow her. She definitely can use all the support she can get because she's going to the top, baby. Let's go, Brooke.
I always talk to her.
Yeah, no. The cool thing about her is that even though she has probably she'll have like 100, 200 people watching her play Hearthstone or whatever, but she'll still talk to each person that says hello.
She's really good about managing her chat. Yeah.
That's why she gets that many viewers. She's just a good Twitch streamer. So if you're looking for a new person to watch, definitely go watch her. She's a cool gal on Twitch. But Yvonne, as we were just discussing video games, I would like to discuss with you the PlayStation Store shutdown of 2021. What a horrible tragedy that is upon us. Sony has announced that they're going to shut down the PlayStation Vita, PlayStation 3, and PSP, the PlayStation Portable stores. So you'll no longer be able to purchase games on those stores by the end of the summer. Of course, there will be more warnings in the future, so do not worry. You can still buy those games currently. But they've announced the official dates on a PlayStation blog post. And you'll still be able to download the games that you've already purchased. But this is a very alarming thing to me, at least, and for the future of preservation of digital preservation of video games, because this was a large library of games that you could access through these systems. Talk to me about it, Vaughn.
Yeah, I think gaming is one of the more unusual mediums in terms of its preservation, right? Because you have books that, like a book that's published and is in book form will never not be able to be read unless it gets to the point where it's so decrepit that you can't turn the pages, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we think about the modern media as something that is lossless. So anything that gets turned out, you can go in the Wayback Machine for a website, or rip a DVD or whatever. Even VHSs can be transitioned into DVDs and then ripped, and you never think like, if something in the modern era is created, it will be lost. However, gaming is one of those things where it's such a unique architecture to be able to play the game that if you lose that architecture, it will make it prohibitive or impossible to play that game again. So we think about the old-time NES games and things like that, and for the majority of us, until Nintendo re-released the NES or whatever, we were locked out of playing those games, either as a nostalgia thing for if you had been part of that generation, or as just going back as people who want to explore the history of gaming.
Right.
And as we go along, we're getting more and more of those segments of gaming architecture that we're getting locked out from. And I think it's one of, if not the only medium in which you can get locked out from being able to participate in even recent history. Like the PS3, the PSP, the PS Vita, like those are fairly recent technology, especially
Definitely.
if we talk about the history of things. But lots of people who, let's say, got rid of their PS Vita or whatever are going to be locked out from ever being able to enjoy titles that were directed that way. And not to mention, like, I'm sure we'll get into it, but the developers who have been spending time to ensure that their gaming architecture can go across, like the software can match to all the different hardwares and be a playable game. And now this decision has come down from the heavens that we're not saving that. That's gone. It's kind of it's like a small scale, I don't want to call it a tragedy. I think a tragedy might be too much, but I'm lost for words of like it's a pretty sad event and a pretty telling event for the valuation of these items that they feel so transient.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sony, looking at Sony's philosophy on preserving and allowing. Let's be honest, right? These PlayStation 1 games are not our games, right? They're not as nostalgic as it. I'm specifically citing PlayStation 1 games because that's what I'm most interested in this collection of video games, aside from Metal Gear Solid 4, obviously, which I have on disc. Thank God. Jesus Christ. But yeah, so these PlayStation 1 games, which is what I'm most interested in, that Sony, these games are not technically ours, right? I don't own these games, so I guess the argument can be made it's not our game, so why does it even matter whether or not I can play it? I guess if you think of it that way, but
because even when you buy a game, you're not buying the game, you're buying a license to play that game.
Exactly.
Just in a digital or physical form. It is still a vastly more intriguing way of looking at an entertainment medium, because when you buy a book, you don't think like, I'm buying the license to read this book.
Well, I guess you can think of it that way when you buy a digital book nowadays. I don't know if you...
That is true.
Even though you get a PDF, is that PDF readable on anything other than, say, the Kindle app? I guess when you purchase a book or whatever, Amazon Nook. I haven't purchased a digital book in a long time, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't purchase a lot of digital books, so I haven't opened one. I do a lot of Audible, but I don't do a lot of like...
And that's definitely only openable through the Audible app, so you're just purchasing the license to listen to that file. So
technically, I'm purchasing a subscription for credits.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So there's another layer removed there, but it's interesting to look through the philosophy that, even if you look at Nintendo's philosophy on this sort of situation, they have a huge library of old games, and Sony's philosophy on this, it looks like their graciousness to allow us to play these video games that they're holding behind the paywall of the PlayStation 3 and Vita and PSP stores, which are ancient stores at this point in terms of internet years, right? When you compare it to how Microsoft is approaching this, they have pretty much fully within their gaming library, which only goes back so far as the Xbox, which is one generation removed from the PlayStation. If you think about it, right? It came out during the generation of the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox era, and the PlayStation was just before that. So
I think that's the golden era of console gaming, by the way.
The PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. But maybe that's because we're nostalgic for that, because we grew up. Those were our formative years when it came to video gaming, I would say. But if you just look at how Microsoft is approaching this, they're taking a much more PC-centric approach to this, in that when you buy a game on Steam, you pretty much have the future-proofing that game will most likely run as so long as the Steam servers are up, right? Which, who knows when that take a nuclear EMP to knock those things out. But you're pretty much future-proof that those games are going to carry forward on your Steam account for a very long time at the very least, right?
Do you think Steam is too big to fail?
That's a question that we could tackle on this podcast if you want.
But let's write that down for a month-long research pod.
Yeah, we'll do that in May perhaps, because I want the Snyder Cut to be our month-long.
Sure, because that takes a month to really dive into.
To watch.
But I was really thinking about, from what you just brought up, like Steam is basically the same thing for PC, but PC, it's such a larger library of everything.
Right, and you can technically play all these games on a personal computer if you emulate them. But this sort of closure is going to make a even stronger argument for emulators and pirates out there, because they have no legal way of purchasing these games. Like I'm always
so, or do you think Sony is going to sorry to interrupt you, but
no, it's fine.
Do you think Sony's going to take the same approach that Nintendo did? So Nintendo, I think, has purposely extremely slow rolled rollout of the back catalog to the Switch.
Yeah.
In order to promote the other gear that they're selling, right? Like the NES and the other things that are like the packaged, like fake versions of the consoles that come prepackaged.
The NES
with all the
Mini
games.
and the SNES Mini.
Yeah. And we haven't gotten the GameCube Mini because that's like their.
Oh my god!
That is the golden era of video games for Nintendo,
sell,
I think.
Like crazy.
But I think Nintendo's probably going to wait for everything to slow down enough to push that out. But do you think that Sony saw what Nintendo was able to do and was like, why are we going to keep these servers up running for this long if we could just release these in the future in the same way that Nintendo is doing?
Yeah.
Like if they released a PlayStation 1... in the same version that the NES or SNES.
They did that already. By the way.
Right.
Yeah. They really, and it was not received too well. But that's because I believe the emulation. There was something wrong with the emulation, or it didn't have the best games or something. I forget why people didn't really like it too much, but there was a reason why.
But once they hit if they are able to manage that with a PS2 release, where the PS2 is hitting like that is the millennial nostalgia button, and we're just reaching like our maximum earning range. That's what I think Sony's going to be marketing for, is when they're cutting these systems off, is that they're pre-planning in the future for going to a Nintendo style re-release.
Right. I don't necessarily think that they're going to do a physical piece of hardware, like the PlayStation Mini or the SNES Mini or the NES Mini. I think they're gearing up to release these games in a way on PS4 and PS5. I think I think they're gonna try to move them over. How's
your PS5 experience been so far in terms of managing that?
In terms of managing what?
Like, in terms of... so the PS4, the original releases were... I thought that they still were PS3 backwards compatible.
There is no PS3 backwards compatibility on PS4.
Okay.
You can play some PS3 games through PS Now, which is a streaming service, and it doesn't allow you to download any games. And that selection is limited. For instance, you can play... I don't look through the PS Now catalog, but I was just listening to a PlayStation podcast, and they said you can play, for instance, Resistance 3, but you can't play Resistance 1 and 2, and I don't know why. And it's just like, there are weird gaps in games in that respect on PS Now. I definitely know you cannot play Metal Gear Solid 4, which is what I was looking into it for, because I didn't want to have to break out the old PS3 to play it.
But you can buy old versions of the Metal Gear Solid games that predate that.
That's a great question. So you cannot play... The only way to play Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, the best Metal Gear Solid game ever made, is on PlayStation 3. You have to have a disc, or you have to have the digital version of the game, which you'll still be able to download, allegedly, when the EMP drops or whatever.
Well, at least they're still going to be running the servers then, I suppose?
That's the thing. Yeah, so I guess they're going to allow you in some way to access the store to download it. They definitely have said in real text that you will still be able to download games that you've already purchased. I know that much.
That's weird, though, right? So
it is weird.
Are there so many people buying PSP and PS3 and PS Vita games, and
there will be now?
The store is like, the server demand of those stores is continuing to push their server budget. Anyway,
I don't know. I think it would just be, people would be so pissed off if they weren't allowed to re-download a game that they've already purchased. Even though it's probably somewhere in that EULA that you all agree to without reading, that they have the ability to just pull this game from the store in some way and not let you download it. But they'd probably get like a lawsuit over that if they didn't allow you to re-download the game. But the what was the point? The point is that you can play Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, and I think 3, through the Metal Gear Solid HD collection as well. That's the other point there.
There's Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, and there's a PS Vita game.
The Peace Walker, right? Not Vita, it's a PSP game.
PSP. Weren't there 2 then PSP games?
I believe there is a second one, but I don't know. I didn't play that game. I know Peace Walker, but I didn't know the other game. I didn't play the other game.
I never beat Peace Walker because I got stuck on that one boss fight that I couldn't finish.
Ridiculous. But the point is, you cannot purchase PS1 Classics, which is the line of select PlayStation 1 games that you could purchase on PlayStation 3, PS Vita, and I maybe PSP. I assume PSP. So there's a line of really classic JRPGs that I'm really interested in, like Final Fantasy 1 through 6, Persona 1 through 3, and the like, Wild Arms and Legend of Dragoon, and these types of games that I always really wanted to play, but I'd have to set aside an entire year of my life to beat all of them. Literally, an entire start to finish a year.
But isn't Final Fantasy, aren't a lot of, like, 6, isn't that available on, like, iOS?
So, yes, they are, but not in the original form, and the iOS version of Final Fantasy VI, they really botched. It's, like, a really shitty version of Final Fantasy VI. So, in terms of preservation of these games, like, you have to go look at screenshots. The sprite work is all fucked up. They had, at one point when they released it, they had the same, when they re-released the iOS version of that game onto Steam, for instance, which is currently purchasable on Steam, they had the touchscreen overlay still on it. So it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You guys are just literally drag and dropping this. But I mean, they patched that out. But the sprite work is super different. So in terms of preservation of the artwork of the game, this is a really big deal, especially in terms of my perspective. I do care about the artwork and how the games were originally intended to be played and that type of stuff, much in the same way you care about and also me to a certain extent when you stream a movie, as opposed to like getting the 4K Ultra Blu-ray or the Blu-ray, right? Like there's a certain, and then watching it on a bigger screen and that type of thing. There's a certain, except this is to a much more extreme extent in terms of comparison wise. But that type of stuff is really scary to me, that these things are just going to disappear. I might spend a lot of money right now on the Vita store within the next couple months, and the PS3 store, I guess they're linked, just on buying PlayStation 1 games, because I there's no way other than emulation on my computer for me to play these games, or I can track down the physical discs of the game and find my PS1 and then also a CRT. So it's like convenience for these games. I think that, again, it comes back to that the philosophy of Sony and Nintendo as opposed to Microsoft in terms of backwards compatibility. Like Microsoft is taking a route that is sort of unifying everything and allowing you to play everything on anything that you want to play it on, and Sony is just saying fuck everyone, or at least it seems that way. And Nintendo to a certain extent is saying that you can only play the games that we want you to be able to play. And that's what I see from this. I also have hopes in the back of my mind saying, oh, they're just gonna open up a PlayStation 1 store on the PS5 now. That they're just shutting down the PS3, PSP, and PS Vita store because they don't want to run those servers, and they want to bring everyone to PS5 and just have it as going forward, PS5 is the future, whatever.
I mean, that would push traffic, right? But
I think so too. And also there have been rumors that there were patents filed by Sony to allow them to retroactively put trophy data and, like the achievements into PS1 and PS2
I know
games.
What trophies are.
All right, look, fuck you. You don't play video games, Vaughn. I'm just talking to you about video games. But yeah, I mean, those rumors have been stretched back like decades now. But I think recently they filed another patent about that sort of technology. So it's potentially there that they're thinking about it, but I don't know if it's going to be true. So I'm worried, and I may spend upwards to $100 on the PlayStation Vita store for video games that I won't play, but only literally just so I can potentially have access to them. You know what I mean?
I totally agree. Like it's one of those things where they're probably cutting their costs and giving people enough room so that the whales like you will be able to purchase everything that they want to, and give themselves enough running room that they can shut down the servers and start cutting costs that way. I don't know in particular if they're going to push that content then to the PS5, although it makes sense to push it to the PS5 from a pure, let's keep pushing everything to the newest technology that people need to buy. Totally makes sense. However, the costs on the back end of porting everything might be to the point where it doesn't make sense to do that, which I think is why, for instance, for Nintendo, it made more sense to be able to release and continue to develop to release these individual hardware pieces rather than focusing on the back catalog for the Switch, even though that back catalog existed for the Switch. Like, the old-ass games were there, right?
Yeah, they let you play some games if you subscribe to Nintendo Switch Online service. They have some games for their some NES games and some SNES games you can play, as well as third-party developers are releasing their. For instance, like Capcom is releasing some old games that they have, and I bought a couple of the arcade shooter, the little plane shooter games that were also on like PlayStation, for instance, and I believe SNES. So it's like you can buy old games on Switch; they exist.
So
it's strange.
I guess one thing that you're speaking to, which is absolutely true, is that game companies can be incredibly cost averse when it comes to porting things. I'm not going to call it lazy, but I'll call it cost averse. So like the story of porting Final Fantasy VI, where it was a lousy port to begin with, and then when they ported it to PC, like you talked about, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to be cost averse in terms of their ability to port, which will degrade the product and make sure that you're not able to play the product that as it was first released. And that's like going back and you can, like Halo, for instance, right? With the Master Chief Collection, is like you can experience Halo in the graphics that it was originally released in.
Right. That's so cool.
And that's a really cool thing, and it hit the nostalgia button, and I'm sure thousands of people bought the Master Chief Collection and haven't played anything since that first drop, right?
Exactly.
But it was like it's hitting all the right notes. It's merging nostalgia with the preservation of the game, and there are some ways in which, as we move forward, that'll be super important. But how much is that going to force gaming companies to spend money on products that they've already made all the money that they could ever need to, and they can just be like cost averse in terms of the next port for it, or not even develop the assets for it. Like, and they can present the argument like, do you want Final Fantasy Remaster Part 2, or do you want Final Fantasy 6 to look like it originally looked?
Yeah, no, it's a conversation to be had, of course,
but from a company, from a platform perspective, like Sony, like Nintendo, that then you're like, well, this isn't even the fucking publishing company. This is like the platform from which it is, which you're expecting to be able to hold on to and deliver. But first, they'll cut from your ability to purchase anything. And the next thing is they'll shut down the servers completely.
And of course, you have to talk about licensing issues with that, with respect to some of these video games. A lot of the great games that exist, that came out, for instance, on Super Nintendo. I've been trying to track down this game called Lufia 2: Rise of the Sinistrals. It's a really cool JRPG from the SNES era. But that company doesn't exist anymore. Obviously, the people who worked on the game probably still make video games in some respect. Maybe they don't. I don't know. I don't know how to look that sort of information up. But a lot of these companies don't even exist anymore. So from games that were made 30 years ago or games that were made 20 years ago. So that's a whole licensing issue. And then someone in the back end owns the fucking copyrights to these obscure ass games. So I'm not expecting them to have every
what were those
PlayStation
contracts
game,
like
right?
for like voice actors and stuff?
Right,
too?
exactly.
I mean, like, that's so complex in terms of like, so you buy the license for the game, but then you have to pay residuals to the people who are there, and that's got to be like a complex lineage of how to pay that shit out.
Well, that's one of the. I'm sure that's one of the arguments as to why they're shutting down these stores is that PlayStation has contracts open with every company that is listing a game on their store, right? And that's got to be at this point fucking thousands upon maybe tens of thousands of companies, right? Probably thousands of companies, but Sony takes a cut of every game sale and then sends the rest to the company, and however that gets divvied up. So they probably have some way of automating this, but it's just like another transaction that they have to figure out how to take care of. And let's say
maybe
this
Sony's
game
just
sells
porting their accounting system, and they're like, realistically, what's happening is they're porting their accounting system, and their accounts are like, there's no way that we can port
we can't do
those accounts over to the new system. Cut them.
But say, for instance, like some obscure-ass PSP game probably sold 1 or 2 copies last year or something, right? And they still have to open that line of connection with that company. So I totally see it from a logistic standpoint as to why. They probably have data. They obviously have data that they're just not... The ends justify the means. They're just not making any money off of these stores anymore, so why even keep them open? But that's why we're having this conversation,
I feel like
right?
I trust Nintendo way more in terms of the profit margins, just because their profit margins have to be so exact for them to be profitable, just based on their market share and everything. Because like,
yeah, I would say
Sony and Microsoft have so much larger market caps for all sorts of different things, but Nintendo,
especially
is
Microsoft, yeah,
just gaming. So it feels like Nintendo has to be super exact, but Sony is like,
we sell
you've
TVs.
You've been
cameras.
losing too much money in this sector. You have to cut it by 25%, and then they're like, well, I guess we have to cut the PS Vita and the PS3 stores.
That's probably exactly true. I mean, Microsoft is probably losing money on their gaming division right now, but they're gaining
even in COVID,
mind share or whatever. I don't know. I mean, how could they possibly be making money off of Game Pass? I don't. The sheer amount of video games they offer there is
because people will
crazy.
buy Game Pass and then not use it.
That's what they're banking on, right? It's a subscription service. So I don't know. I'm worried about this future that video games are moving towards, PlayStation gaming specifically. I will probably spend a lot of money on my PS Vita in the coming weeks as I decide which games I want. But I think people are going to be compiling lists of games that are currently available for sale, and I'm going to have to go through all of them because I don't even know which games I want, just on the off chance that I will want to play this obscure PS1 game, you know? So I'm just afraid for that because there's no way to purchase it on PS5, even though it seems like a no-brainer that they could just port it over, but obviously it's not that easy. I don't make video games, and it's probably not that easy. But it seems like it's pretty easy considering they're all on Steam, right? Or you can... It's gotta be, to a certain extent, right? It couldn't be that hard, right? Because, I mean, how many games can you emulate on your PC right now, right? And that's some guy who wasn't paid at all, who just likes video games. He's like, oh, let me just rip the game from the CD or the PlayStation disc. There were plenty of bootleggers out there back in the day, man. It was simple stuff. People were doing it. And then you could somehow get the data off that disc and then upload it to whoever wrote the emulator is the person who deserves some credit. And then uploading the ISOs is probably not that difficult. So I'm just imagining Sony can obviously do a much more professional job of that, but it doesn't seem like it couldn't be that difficult. But then again, I don't know anything about making video games, or running an online store where you can purchase video games. But that's our 2 cents on the PlayStation 3, PSP, and PS Vita stores shutting down. In the near future, they'll be shutting down, I believe, in July, and then in August. I think the PS Vita store will be open the longest. I don't know why, but yeah, it's a scary future. Hopefully, it's not that scary, and they'll just port everything to PS5. Yvonne, when are you getting a PS5?
Man, like in the near future, I just bought I just got another lease on a different car, so Laura could have a car.
Oh, sick.
I just purchased my car, so like I would say, and I'm alone a lot now.
Nice.
So it'll be between like saving funds for building a new, just like redonkulous rig, and buying a PS5.
How exciting!
And I really want to buy a new rig. Like I want to get an AMD
590 RX 70X. What is it? Their new CPU is pretty nice.
I want to get the 16 core.
If you listen to my last podcast, Yvonne, you'd know that that's going to be pretty difficult for you to do. It's going to be pretty hard to find those semiconductors.
Yes. And I also want to get a new graphics card.
Yeah.
But that's been delayed for months, so.
That's the same problem. They're all running on semiconductor chips.
So I might have to just buy a PS5. Because I didn't even.
Good luck getting those.
I wasn't able to bring down a PS4. So,
oh, you didn't yet?
So I'll have to buy a PS5 and a new TV. Oh, God.
Do you not have a TV?
I'm moving into a fully furnished house, so I need to kind of check out what's happening there. But my TV, that is mine, is up there. In Syracuse, so if I want a 4K Ultra HD,
definitely get it. It's worth the money, Yvonne.
I was gonna look into an 8K OLED television.
Holy shit, you're crazy.
Well,
they're too expensive now.
Yeah, my point is I bought this television to last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And if I buy an 8K OLED, I feel like that will last 10 to 15 years.
But they don't even have 8K Blu-rays right now.
Yeah, I'm future-proofing.
I feel like you would spend the same amount of money. I guess you just spend the same amount of money. Like, let's say you buy a really nice 4K Blu-ray, 4K TV that's half the price of an 8K TV currently, and then as opposed to you just purchasing and then upgrading to the 8K TV, which comes down in price when it's time, right? You could just purchase the 8K TV now. I think
my other thought was just buy a 4K monitor.
Yeah.
Because, and then upcycle all of my monitors. So I currently have 2 monitors at work because one of my monitors that I usually use for my home base is at work. And my other monitor I'm staring at right now is just still in its box. So I could upcycle to my monitors so that I have 3 screens at work still. and then I get a brand new 4K monitor for my gaming rig.
You should
and
do
then
it,
I'll
man.
wait to get television, because I also have been thinking about, like, I hate having a huge fucking black box. What if I just got a really nice projector?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to get a really nice projector and also be able to get your room very dark. I've never been a big fan of projectors, in terms of, obviously, the fucking movie projectors are sick, but those are crazy expensive. Yeah. I've never been the biggest fan of home projectors, but I've never been able to optimize the situation.
My other
properly,
thing is, like,
so.
I'm waiting so I've got so many expenses that I want to make this year. Like, I want to buy an engagement ring this year, and that is very expensive. And
Big
then
deal.
if I buy the engagement ring, then I've got to have some savings.
This is news to me. I didn't know this.
Yeah, it'll be news for
Way
everybody.
to announce it on the podcast that Laura doesn't listen to. You knew you were safe. What a guy.
I know, and I stuck it in the last few minutes.
Dude, I'm going to send this highlight to her, because I'm highlighting. Yvonne proposes to Laura on a podcast she doesn't listen to.
Oh my god, that would be the worst for like
that Julian sent it through a text message. I have to track down her phone number. I don't even have her phone number.
No, you don't. So I'm planning on buying an engagement ring by the end of the year. So I need to
really great
save
news.
a lot of money, basically. So
10K.
I told Laura, like, a fake number of expenses that I will incur during the year, because I'm going to save those expenses in order to buy an engagement ring.
Oh, that's
But
cute.
she doesn't know that was factored into the expenses.
Joke's on you. She missed you so much she listened to the podcast for once. That would be really shitty, dude. You shouldn't have said that. You should have... Oh, God.
As long as you don't clip this out into an individual individual video, there's no way in hell that Laura will listen to this.
The chances of her listening to this segment.
Laura, if you listen to this, text me right now and say, I love bananas. That's all you have to say, and that tells me you listen to this section of the pod.
Unbelievable. Whoa. Well, with that, guys, we're going to end the podcast. I hope Laura didn't listen to this, even though it would be kind of romantic to be proposed to on a podcast in 2021.
This is how you're going to propose to Nikki, huh?
I'm not doing any proposing here at all. Thank you so much for listening to the Hungover
That's a man
podcast.
Who's had this discussion. that is the exact intonation of a man who's had this discussion and is like, no, absolutely not.
And that's the end of the podcast. Everyone, thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.